Broken Lance has to be one of the weakest animation from GW in the most recent time. After the release of the prior Nexus, I expected to get similar quality. However, this proved me wrong and just made me disappointed because there are some good ideas in it, but it's poorly directed. Let's break this down. So in the beginning, it gives a bit of quick lore who the Imperial Knights are, basically being ones used as tractors, now became Pacific Rim mechs to protect humanity from the monsters. So far here, nothing bad. It does a pretty good job giving a synopsis of the Imperial Knights lore, and I like the nice detail towards the end, the narrator saying daughter, suggesting this is one of the many times the king repeated their origin story to the princess. Then we are just thrust into a chaotic battle. As much as I love seeing robots crashing each other, I need a bit of a context about what the hell is going on. Sure, I can easily tell who the good guys and the bad guys, I mean the zombies gives a bit of a hint, but that's not enough information. I need to know where the setting is taking place, who's the characters, what are you trying to do, stop them from reaching what. This is crucial information necessary for me to engage a story to have some level of interest. Being thrown into a battle makes it difficult to feel any way of the situation since I don't understand what's going on, especially made more difficult by how badly edited this whole sequences are. Just random cuts of the Imperial Knights punching, stabbing, and stamping. None of it flows well. Fights randomly starts, then cuts to another one starting, and there's no scene of a fight fully completed. Being all closed up, not giving an overhead view of the start of the battle, so I have no clue who's winning. I guess the Chaos Knights are because one of the characters notices on her radar that there's more and they all just retreat. So they run back to the castle or as fast as the Imperial Knights' legs can take you, with a couple of knights sacrificing themselves to slow down the horde. Also, this has to do nothing with the story, but this has to be the weakest Nurgle beast, going down after a couple of shots. Must have a few wounds to spare or something. Then we're introduced to the court, where the queen isn't all together, rambling nonsense to herself. Here we just get amateur writing. Instead of letting her sons demonstrate who they are, acting, she describes them for us, which in a book is fine to do. This is an animation, it's not restricted with words on a page. You can have voice actors perform their characters, and writers write how they demonstrate them. Seeing how they decide to direct it this way makes me think this production was rushed. And we're going to see more examples of this as we continue. So later she begins insulting her court, calling them all cowards.
Now that we must live up to our oaths, is courage suddenly in short supply?
Right now this line seems fine, showing her frustration of the inaction of the court, but it really doesn't make sense later in the show, just keep that in mind. So we discovered this one proper female knight that was hung in a camera in the beginning is an exiled princess, and these two are her cousins, telling her she's not permitted to be here, but instead of a crisis, laws are bent. She tells them that the report she was given was false, that the horde was much larger. It would have been more effective and interesting if they'd done this earlier, like the knights defeated the first wave and expressing their grievance after seeing another wave, saying to each other that the reports were wrong and all that stuff to create some level of tension, and actually making it interesting. So when she comes back angry, we could easily understand why she's frustrated. But GW is like the Emperor, they didn't have time to do all that. And the cousin gives one of the dumbest things you could say.
You are certain of this, cousin?
I understand they wouldn't believe or trust each other since this had to do with political families and all that stuff, but you can look out the window and see Nurgle's Rod coming to their doorstep. So in order to prove she's telling the truth, they've written this one character to prove her testimony and just doesn't come back ever. He just disappears after serving his purpose for the writers, which brings quite a lot of questions. Who was he? Why would the family believe him? Questions like this just add confusion to the narrative, and I don't want to call this lazy since it's clear they're trying to move the plot quickly, which at that point, why bother making an animation production if you're not going to take the time and write a story, if everything's going to be brushed aside, not giving us time to enjoy the production and appreciate the storytelling. The two princes begin discussing how they handle the matter. The guy with the man bun suggests to confront the enemy. His brother disagrees, telling him that's a bad idea, that they're heirs to the throne, their lives are more important, so he prefers to defend the castle walls. Finally, some actual character is being written, but that quickly gets cut because the queen tells him to go out and face them, and the guy who suggests to be behind the walls volunteers first, ready to sell his life. Well, there goes the scrap of character that we have for the two out the window. So everyone in the courtroom begins to leave except for the exiled princess, where the queen demands her to stay to talk with her privately. Later we got the two princes going out by themselves. Where's the other houses? Now it's revealed later why she will send them out to die, but what about their knights under their houses, their guards? Are they just gonna let the two heirs go out and die? Which is yes, because the two of them get killed. The same problem comes back with this when the camera shots are too close and the fight scenes has way too many cuts, with the added bonus that it's too dark to see anything and I can't tell who's who. And honestly, I'm not gonna bother since they didn't have much of a character to begin with. Then we cut back to the court. The exiled princess expresses her anger that the queen is holding her back from fighting. It is made worse when she begins ranting, telling her that she didn't steal the throne out of selfishness when her father died, but did it for her family, trying to protect them, but mainly she did it for her. Of course, the exiled princess doesn't believe her because she sent out her 2 sons to die, and she expected she would be selfish in packing up her things and leaving her people behind after being labeled as an exile by her. So the exiled princess begins ranting, saying you're an awful person and you'll be remembered as the person that let this family die. The queen needs to hire a lawyer or something because she's not doing a good job defending herself, saying that yes, that is what I'm trying to do. The queen reveals to her that her family is cursed because the lore that we heard from the beginning is true for most other Imperial Knights, but not this one. They weren't so lucky. The planet they were on was corrupted. What they thought and still thinks are monsters are actually chaos creatures from Nurgle, so they weren't able to beat them, and to let their people continue to live on, the family sacrificed themselves and their descendants to be slaves to them. This pretty much makes sense, since the Chaos Gods see this endless violence as a game, so the suffering caused by it will continue to feed their power, so why end it? This is where we finally get some actual good writing and direction, because the queen believed she could end the curse and the suffering of her brother by killing him. This is not coming from spite or selfishness as she was ranting earlier to her. She believed what she was doing was right, but in reality was just playing the game that Nurgle wanted, because this action caused more harm than good. This created tension between the family and the future conflict that they're facing. Since the curse was passed to her, she resisted it and refused the temptation of relief by Nurgle after receiving so many diseases in her decade of reign. So she forced his hand and created this huge war that they're facing, and resurrected the king, which is revealed later. From the exiled princess' perspective, she doesn't know chaos. Thank you, Imperium. Just hearing this lunatic murder her father and now is starting to destroy her family by accepting destruction from the creatures outside. This is fantastic writing, but it's being limited to belonging to this animation. It needed to be a series or a movie to build this up, since what we have from the beginning scenes calling everyone cowards for not fighting, which doesn't make sense for her to say that if she was planning to let the creatures kill her family. The direction should have been she let the planet slowly be destroyed, where her sons and niece being frustrated from her inaction, revealing towards the end why she did it. There's potential to write a story around this, that the monarchy is being controlled by Nurgle, forcing them to commit atrocities, betrayals, and rebellion to create wars around the planet, with each generation believing that their cause is just, only to follow the same way as the previous ruler. This is pretty much what the gods are doing in the whole galaxy. Getting back on track, the queen, after telling her the story how she killed her father, tells her that the only solution she managed to cook up is by having their whole bloodline die.
It is in our blood, our souls. Take this evil with us into our graves.
I mean, pretty much a soundproof idea. She's not wrong, but it's probably a better solution than everyone dying. Also, it reminds me of a chapter of Godric and Felix where Manfred, a different Manfred, killed his whole family since he also believed no bloodline, no curse. The exiled princess shows her naivety by telling her that it could beat this curse after the war, but the queen tells her she heard nothing, that this curse can only be cured by death, so they will die with honor. This sounds nice to hear, but it's pretty much a bad idea since the suffering doesn't end in death. All souls will go back to the warp. However, for them, their souls are claimed by Nurgle, so they'll be trapped in this jar to be used later, which shows the grim dark of this universe that not even in death there's no sanctuary. This part here feels like it came out of nowhere, and the writing's starting to get a bit rancid because the exiled princess refused to follow her word, especially after admitting she murdered her father, saying that she went mad. The queen brings up that she thinks she's weak, which no, she never claimed you're weak, you're just mad, and that her father will last longer than her, which again, no, that wasn't the conversation. The reason why they're written this forced conversation is to reveal the exiled princess that her father is alive, being the Chaos Knight that you see in the box art for it. And the reason why I'm stuck is that they made this as if it was a big whoa moment, with the music being increased and a zoom in shock face. Like, come on guys, you're better than this. This wasn't properly set up or hinted at all. Hearing enough, the exiled princess kills the queen, telling her that she will not fail like her, continue the cycle once more. So she reveals to the army that the queen is dead, giving a rising speech to fight the enemy, and all that BS. This is supposed to be like a triumphant moment with the knights riding to battle, but I just feel so hollow since I feel nothing watching it, despite the music making me feel like this is supposed to be like an epic comeback. This time, all the knights finally decide to protect the heir of the throne and begins riding with her into battle. Then we have her dueling with her father, and I can't help but laugh at this part.
How could you? You broke your oath!
I get it, she doesn't know chaos, so she wouldn't understand how far gone her dad is, being just a meat puppet, but she did learn he got shot in the back by the person he trusted, and that's pretty much a good reason for someone to break their oath. And this is all just a one-sided conversation, so they might as well kept it silent. Eventually, a bit of a family fight, she wins and kills her father. Then we have her sitting on the throne, recount the story once more, but as the camera zooms in, it's revealed that the curse was passed to her, which would have been better if they kept it ambiguous instead of confirming it, and that was Broken Lands, which is pretty much a mess. The story itself needed to be made into a series, not half-an-hour animation. It definitely has good ideas with the reveal of the family curse. However, being constrained to tell this story created pacing issues, where they rushed scenes not allowing it to be built up, so they could get the part of the story they wanted to tell, making it feel dragged out for how long it was. As for the animation, the quality is not acceptable. The faces look rubbery and cartoony, making it hard to take some scenes seriously when it's zoomed in. I personally hate how everything looks foggy and dark. Most likely they did it for budget reasons to hide some CGI, which should never be the case if GW puts money into this. Also, I get it had to do with Nurgle, but this decision just makes everything look ugly, making it difficult to appreciate the detail in Imperial Knight's design. The sound effects sounds muffled, especially when it comes to the Gatling guns. They sound like they're shooting on the water. Compare this to something like the Star Wars Project, where the sound effect sounds crisp. You can tell which gun is shooting. Having poor sound effects also affects the Imperial Knights, since they feel weightless, again compared to the Star Wars Project, where you can feel the weight of the Space Marines. And that was pretty much Broken Lands. Thank you for watching, and bye.